Absolutely delighted now to be joined by the IACP President Louis Dekmar. Louis, welcome.
Welcome to you. Looking forward to our conference here in Orlando and appreciate the opportunity to talk about this past year.
So let's talk about the past year, Lou. What's it been? What have you been up to? What are some of the issues you've tackled?
Well, I've had, of course, the opportunity, like any president, to visit law enforcement agencies and public safety agencies around the world. We visited 5 continents and probably close to 24 police agencies. And the general challenges are the same. Dealing with those day-to-day issues and traditional crime that confront us with fewer resources. And then the whole going dark and cybercrime, which really is enabling vehicle that enhances the challenge of traditional crime.
What about some of the initiatives that you've tackled, like dealing with people with mental illness and building trust in the community?
Right. Well, prior to coming in as president, had the occasion to meet with law enforcement officials, not only in the United States and North America, but in Europe and the Middle East and Asia. And there was a couple of issues that seemed to always percolate to the top, and that is dealing with those that are affected by mental illness, and as a result of failed social policy around the world. By default, that's become a issue that police commonly deal with, and oftentimes to a frustrating and tragic end. And the other is at-risk adults. Currently there's 1 billion people in the world that are age 60 or older, or suffer from a disability that makes them more vulnerable to fraud and exploitation. And in the next 30 years, that's going to double. And so we're seeing cases as it relates to the victimization of that population increase. And then finally, whether you're talking about terrorism, cybercrime, traditional crimes, for the police to be effective, it has to have the trust of the community it polices. And for a lot of reasons, there are communities throughout the world that have a history that's created an obstacle to that trust. So coming up with an initiative that identifies common themes and develops support and resources for those agency heads that want to engage communities and develop a deeper level of trust to make what they do in the agencies more effective and increase public safety, and as importantly, increase officer safety.
So I know this is a difficult question, but if you were to pick a highlight of your year as president, what would it be?
You're right, that is a difficult question. I think the opportunity to visit heads of law enforcement agencies around the world and learn that there are many things that we do differently, but there's a common theme in everything that we do. And we're more alike than we are unalike. And so having the opportunity to work with my colleagues and influence policy as it relates to training, written directives, leadership development, I think that's probably been the most rewarding.
So rumor has it the president's coming on Monday. Can you talk to us about that?
We've developed a close working relationship with the White House on several issues. One that is particularly of interest to them is prison reform and creating opportunities, which is a challenge in any community for those that are re-entering that community to have access to housing, employment, continued substance abuse support, mental illness resources. And so we've partnered with them on that issue. We've also shared with them our commitment to working with the administration and developing a criminal justice commission. It's been 50 years since the last one, and the first one was in 1935. That influenced public policy as it relates to the criminal justice system for several decades. Likewise, the one that was released in 1968 has influenced everything from technology and 911 to police officer standard and training councils. So we're hopeful that our continued work with President Trump and his staff will result in that commission.
So you've been involved in the leadership of IACP for a few years now.
5 years, yes.
5 years. What would your advice be to anybody who's at the conference who would like to get involved in that leadership role?
Get involved. Look for opportunities to seek appointments to committees that you're interested in. If there are no appointments available, nothing precludes you from attending those meetings, voicing your opinion, being engaged in the work. The only thing you don't do as a committee member is vote. And by demonstrating that interest when a slot becomes open on that committee, the chair is naturally going to look to somebody that's been there, familiar with the issues, and is engaged.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and many congratulations on your year as President.
Thank you, sir.
IACP TV has all the coverage you want from this year's conference. Make sure to explore all of our content, which is updated each and every day of the conference, to stay up to date with all the very latest news in the world of policing.